Mini skirt on, dip my body in glitter. Platform sneakers, all the boys want a picture. Two foreign cars, I make rich look richer. Save your breath, baby, I'm not going home with ya. Mini skirt on, dip my body
Hello. You are now tuned in to the Little Bit A Lot podcast. I'm your host, Kristen, and welcome back to another episode. Thank you so much for joining me this week, guys. I just want to start off with the elephant in the room. If you're watching on YouTube, we are not having a video episode this week, okay? It's just audio only, and honestly, it's making me feel real nostalgic. Because when I first started my podcast about 2.5 years ago, I had a couple of episodes that I did where it was just audio only on YouTube and, of course, Spotify, Apple. And I did not have time today to set up the lights, camera, action, bust down. So I was like, okay, let me just quickly be able to film this episode because I'd rather just do this and record it than not have an episode at all. You know, we gotta prioritize that consistency, okay, period. So we don't have the whole setup today, okay? Just audio. I hope you don't mind, right? Because it's still gonna be a litty episode, okay? We're still gonna key about this whole streaming thing, if you can't tell from the title. Okay, I figured this week we would talk about how my 30-day streaming challenge went on Twitch. I have talked about it in a previous episodes, you know, just a little bit, but I did tell you guys that once the whole 30-day challenge was over, then I was going to make an episode dedicated to how the 30-day challenge experience was overall. So we are going to lay everything out on the line, okay? All the stuff I learned, the gags I may have gone through, all the whole process when understanding like streaming software, you know, going through the gags of realizing, okay, yeah, you're starting off with a, you know, brand new platform. I'd never been a consumer of Twitch, like ever. I've never used Twitch. So I didn't even know really how to work it as a viewer, let alone a creator. So having to learn those two things, for example, simultaneously, you know, before getting into all of this was a lot more than I thought. I don't know why I thought everything was just going to be easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. But I think that delusion is what keeps me going, you know? Well, I've accomplished the things in my life. I can't talk today. Well, I've accomplished the things in my life that I have accomplished the things, you know, so far is because of the delusion, is what I'm trying to say, okay? So, you know, we're here with delusion, some confidence, and a dream. And that's how we were able to get through the 30-day streaming challenge. So let's go ahead and get into it. You know, we got to talk about how the streaming experience went. And, you know, I'm going to also, like I said, give you tips and tricks and advice that I learned along the way. I just want to be kind of a free plug, you know, for all the girlies. So you can just really know straight up, how do I actually start this? And what is it like? So you can, you know what you're getting yourself into if you're considering streaming. And if you're not considering streaming, you should still listen. Just because, you know, it's an interesting story about an interesting experience. You know what I mean? So let's go ahead and get into it, y'all. No JoJo, like I always say. But before we do, like I said, if you are watching on YouTube or I guess listening, go ahead and subscribe, okay? Your girl is so close to hitting her first 1K. I'm recording this the day that I'm recording it. I have 910 subscribers. Subscribing is completely free on YouTube. Who doesn't love free stuff, right? So if you are interested in hearing a podcast that talks about pop culture, mental health, music, movies, TV shows, more, then I would highly recommend subscribing and help your girl on that push to her first 1K. We are so close. We need 90 subscribers. Are you kidding me? Okay, and turn the post notifications on so that way you don't miss an episode. Leave a comment down below if you guys have any questions, if there's any topics that you feel like I, hadn't covered, would love to know more about. Feel free to let me know in the comments. Okay, keep it nice, keep it cute, keep it positive if you do. And if you're listening on Spotify and Apple, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Rate it 5 stars. Leave a review to let me know what you think about the show. And let's get into it. So, technically, with my streaming, I've mentioned it before. I did start streaming on my podcast YouTube channel. And I just kind of wanted to like test things out and see if I even liked streaming in general. So I'd been doing that for a couple months. But then I decided I wanted to keep things separate. And officially on March 24th of 2026, this year, I moved my streaming over to Twitch. And then I also created my new gaming YouTube channel, which is called Gaming with Kristen Live. So honestly, the entire 30-day streaming challenge in general, I would say was exciting. It was overwhelming, fun. I would say it was stressful. And it was surprisingly emotional, like all at the same time. It was just a lot, guys. Like, I'm going to keep it a buck. And I feel like when people talk about streaming online, especially on YouTube, most of the advice videos from when I was doing all my research, and trust me, I'm a research girly down. Okay. I hyperfixate on whatever it is that I'm trying to do at that current moment. So if I'm starting to get into streaming, you better believe that majority of my time spent that I have free time or while I'm working and listening to videos is spent on learning as much as I can about whatever that is. So when it came to streaming, I'm watching so many different videos on YouTube, watching TikToks to get advice from different streamers. And I noticed that, especially with YouTube, a lot of the advice videos were made by men. And like, that's no shade, no tea to any of the men who may be listening to this or who are listeners of my podcast. But I think that, because overall, like, those videos did help me learn a lot of things, right? But, since there weren't as many women, it was just kind of like, dang, you want to be able to have that representation and that connection when you're learning about these things. And I feel like there weren't a crap ton of women on YouTube specifically that were talking about Twitch streaming advice, beginner experiences, tips and tricks, and just things like that. Like, maybe they are out there, but I would say majority of it is overwhelmingly all those type of videos are made by men. That's just one thing I noticed, like going into this. So I wanted to be really intentional with being able to, add to the space, being a Black, cozy gamer girly. Throughout this journey, if you're feeling the same way and you're like a fellow girly, I would highly recommend, trying to seek those creators out, like on TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. And like, they are on Twitch, but it made it very clear at the beginning that this is what I'm trying to say is like a mostly male dominated type of field. Streaming is what it seems like. I could be wrong, but that's just my overall like impression. It was kind of intimidating because I'm like, okay, what is Twitch going to be like? What is the audience going to be like? I don't want, any boys like coming in and trolling and like bullying me on my streams. But I was pleasantly surprised, I quickly learned that, okay, the girlies are there, the girl streamers are out there. Okay. And they're going to show up, they're going to support you. So that made me feel better. So just with this episode, I think it would just be cool to just talk about my experience, my actual experience with this streaming thing, like starting from scratch. So let's start off with my setup. I would say overall, my setup was not super expensive. I think one thing that stopped me initially from like streaming at first, like I would have started a long time ago, but of course, you think like, oh, okay, I need to get this, I need to get that. It's going to be pricey. But in reality, you can get a pretty affordable streaming setup that isn't super expensive. You just have to make sure that you're doing your research. So with my setup, I already had a gaming laptop that I got in college because you guys know I've already said it in my lore. The Sims 4 is the reason why I got through college, okay, honey? Like, I'm not new to this, I'm true to this when it comes to gaming. I've been playing Animal Crossing on my GameCube since, 2005? Like, don't play with it, right? So, I low-key do need a new gaming laptop, but it's whatever. It works for Sims, so I'm like, okay, it could work for anything, really. I think it can handle streaming. So I already had a streaming laptop. And this laptop at the time, I ended up getting on sale with my student discount for like $600. And I ended up getting a payment plan on it through Best Buy. Okay, you do what you gotta do. And this economy, the struggle is real, sister. If you gotta run it on the Klarna, run it on the Klarna. You know what I mean? If that's what you want, period. So had that already. I also ended up getting a 15-inch monitor from Amazon. I don't have that much space, okay? I wish I had, more space and a designated area for streaming. But half of my desk is already taken up from my work stuff. And then the other half is already taken up from like my coloring and, my cozy hobbies. So I needed something that I could like move out the way when I'm not streaming, okay? Because we be getting real creative here when it comes to the coloring, so we can't have all that in the way. That's why I'm like, dang, I wish I had 2 desks, honestly. But whatever. So 15-inch monitor, got that from Amazon. All of my stuff I ended up getting from Amazon. And I don't want to be like, ooh, Jeff Bezos. Is that how you say his name? Like, F capitalism, F the man, right? But at the end of the day, a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. Okay, we got to get some stuff quick, we got to get some stuff fast, and we got to get some stuff cheap. So you got to use that Amazon. And on top of that, I'm on the family plan anyway, okay? My sister is able to get it at a discount. PSA, I think if you get food stamps or government assistance, you qualify for getting a discounted Amazon Prime membership, people. Take advantage of that, okay? Like, everybody wants to charge an arm and a leg for everything, so we can get our discounts. However we can get our discounts, that's what we need to do, okay? So everything is going to be linked on my Amazon storefront. I made sure that I added everything I ordered in regards to my streaming and like content creation in general. It's on my Amazon storefront. The link is in the bio if you guys want to take a look at everything I am mentioning here. So laptop, right? Let's get back on task. Laptop, 15-inch monitor from Amazon. I also ended up getting an LED lamp. I just wanted, something in the background. I thought it was cute because I'd been wanting one for my office. I also got a capture card. A lot of the videos that I was watching, the guys, they were saying you need a capture card so that way that can plug into your Switch dock if you want to play your Switch, right? Because I have a Nintendo Switch too. So you plug the capture card, into your Switch, and then that plugs into the capture card, and then that plugs into your computer, right? A lot of people I've been seeing talk about how expensive capture cards are. They're not that pricey, people. You got to do your research. I found one for $25. Okay? Linked on my Amazon storefront. I also ended up getting these super cute gaming headphones. Is it a necessity? No. But is it for the plot? Yes. Okay? They're just so cute. And that's like the biggest compliment that I get on my streams is people love my headphones. Like, you got a good headphone, like, you just feel like, wow, I feel like ultimate gamer girly, like, circa Beyonce Super Bowl Verizon commercial. You remember that, guys? When she had on her cute little headphones, and she, like, was pretending to be a gamer? Beyonce, the woman that you are, you know what I mean? So, yeah, and then I already had a podcast mic, because, I'm a podcaster, so I used that for my streams. I got that on Amazon, too, when I first started my pod. It was, like, $60 at the time. And I also had a webcam as well. So that's literally it. It's not this whole shebang, bada deep. Like, no, it's really not all that people try to make it seem. Like, it's simple stuff that's less than $100. Okay, that's all you need. I feel like social media kind of makes it seem like you need, these type of lights and this crazy setup and multiple monitors. Like, you need 3 monitors, 4 monitors, all that stuff. No, you really don't. Okay. Keep it simple, keep it cute so you don't overwhelm yourself is my advice for anybody that's interested in starting streaming, Also, the next thing that came along with my, streaming journey was learning Twitch. Like I said, I didn't have any experience with learning, understanding the platform. So that was overwhelming. And honestly, I was just kind of confused about a lot of stuff. Pretty much everything. OBS was stressing me out. If you guys don't know, OBS is, a streaming software that pretty much everybody uses to stream. I feel like understanding the audio stressed me out. Understanding the alerts, scenes, and OBS. You're like, what's a scene? You know what I mean? There's so many terms and things that I had no clue about. It was just so much going on at once, I think. But once I was like, okay, let me just slow down. Let me just focus on one thing at a time. Then that's when I started having fun with it. And I'm like, okay, I'm learning to make my streams feel more like me, because I think that that's like the most important thing in anything I do. How can I make it feel like me? Right? Because that's when I'm in the most comfortable. So I ended up, making basically my entire Twitch channel theme to be Miffy themed. If you guys don't know, it's this cute little like cartoon bunny. Miffy. Ugh, I love Miffy. So I ended up going on Etsy. Etsy. Okay? That's another piece of advice. People, like, you want to lean on Etsy. They got everything you need when it comes to customizing your Twitch channel. If you're willing to spend a little bit of coin, a couple dollars for here, for this, couple dollars for that, you can find some generally affordable, cheap stuff that can really help, add those extra layers of customizations on your channel on Etsy. Okay, there's also lots of free resources, that you can use on Canva as well to customize your channel. But for me, I really enjoyed choosing, custom subscriber badges for my Twitch channel. Those are Miffy themed. I got some custom Miffy emotes from Etsy for people who follow me and subscribe to use in the chat. I also even got custom channel points that are Miffy themed. So now my channel points are called Miffy points, also from Etsy. And if you don't know, like, channel points are basically points that viewers earn just by watching a streamer on live. So basically, the longer that you're in the stream, the more points you get. And then streamers can then like customize everything, like what rewards you can redeem, with those points. And they can also customize like how many points each reward costs. So for example, I set up my custom channel points to be check-in, lurking, hello, show love to Kristen, and show love to chat. So those are rewards that you can redeem with your channel points. And then when you redeem them, it'll show like your name and like a cute little, GIF on the stream. I really love the check-in one the most because it's just a fun little way for people to basically like, it's like doing attendance. You're like, okay, I'm here. Hey, so like, I know you're there. But if you don't want to do that, of course, my streams are always lurker friendly. Okay. But if you also want to publicly claim that you are lurking and let me know, there's a channel, point for that. But I want people to know, the way that I like my streams to be set up is I don't want to force anyone to engage or, chat or use points if they don't want to. But if that's your thing, it's there and I love it. And so far, the people in my community have said that they like it. And a lot of people also compliment, all the Miffy emotes and stuff like that. So I really love it. It's my favorite part. So yeah. And I think another thing that was really interesting with the streaming journey was like the possibility of reaching Twitch affiliate. You always see people saying, okay, I was able to reach affiliate in this many days. And I'm like, okay. So I didn't want to be like, delusional to that point to where I was like expecting to make affiliate within the 30-day challenge. Like, no, I honestly thought it was going to take me way longer. But the good thing was I ended up being gagged. Okay. Like I said, I started streaming on March 24th and then I ended up making Twitch affiliate on April 13th. So that's 20 days. It took me 20 days to reach affiliate. So everybody's journey is unique. Some people it takes longer, some people it takes shorter. So, don't compare. Like, I could not mentally handle trying to compare my timeline to anyone else's timeline. Been there, done that with the podcasting thing. I've realized my journey is just going to be my journey. What's meant for me is meant for me. When it's meant for me, how it's meant for me, where it's meant for me. Okay? Unique. Everything is uniquely specific to you, like they said on that Beyonce song. UNIQUE. Unique. Like, word to Beyonce. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I just wasn't expecting Twitch affiliate, but I'm so thankful. And if you don't know, basically, that means that your Twitch channel is eligible for monetization. So they start showing ads on your streams, and then you can earn, money from those streams. So that's really cool. And also, when I started streaming, I think what helped me reach affiliate in the 20 days was also the fact that I wasn't like completely alone when I started. My sisters, my dad, my boyfriend, they were literally all watching my streams in the beginning and still do. I'm still in the beginning, but like I specifically in the first 30 days, they were just there to really support me and help me, get through those first few like awkward Twitch streams. Because I feel so much more comfortable streaming on my podcast channel because that was like already my built safe space. But then with Twitch and then my new gaming YouTube channel, I did feel a little bit more awkward at first because I'm just like, oh God, like I just want this to be a good space. Like, don't let any of the weirdos come up in here. Like, don't kill my vibe. Like, you know what I mean? It's just anything new for the first time, of course, is going to be slightly nerve-wracking for anybody. So yeah, those first couple streams are a little rough, like in my head. They turned out okay. But of course, I was like, ooh, freaking out a little bit mentally. But I'm human, right? It's okay. And it's all a part of the experience, but so even though I did have that support, at the end of the day, it still takes consistency, to grow anything. And you do have to keep showing up. And that's what I did. Streaming every day for those 30 days. At first, I was going to say, okay, I'm going to stream for 30 days because I had never done any type of like challenge before, when it came to social media. So that would be fun. And also I wanted to do it because I felt like it was a really good way for me to get, comfortable faster and actually learn like what streaming feels like in real time. And I think, that helped a lot, right? It helped me figure out what kind of content that I like doing, how to talk while gaming a lot better, how to read the chat and game. Like, my multitasking skills definitely improved, especially within doing a challenge like that, And it also gave me, doing that for the 30 days helped me get a lot more clips, of course. And I think that in turn helped build, the foundation of the Cozy Corner Club, which I don't know if I mentioned it. That's the name of my Twitch community. The Cozy Corner Club, okay? And I'm the president. I just love the idea of having a club and me being the president, and we could just get club members and just key and have fun. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I ended up, posting lots of clips on TikTok and YouTube Shorts, and that helped me stay consistent with content outside of Twitch because that's important. Also, I would say by the end of the 30 days, though, I was tired. Like, I was over it because I didn't realize that streaming does take a lot more mental energy than I thought it would. And like, I do talk a lot already. Just as a person, I talk a lot. I love to yap. And then I have a podcast. But I feel like streaming is different in a way that you're like, okay, I have to constantly think out loud. That's not my natural instinct to always do that. Right? I'm usually like I can't say silent. I can't say I'm a silent gamer. I do yell and get upset. Be like, oh man, like stuff like that. But either way, get used to talking way more than I ever do playing the game alone, of course. That's just for anybody. And then you're getting used to reacting more and gaming. Like I said, reading the chat, keeping up your energy, like it is a lot at the same time. Now I get it. I'm like, okay, right. Like, streaming is not as easy peasy as, people think it is. And now I understand. I understand a lot of the streamers a lot more. But at the end of the day, I'm really glad I did it. And it also helped me realize, how much balance means to me. Since I've been, therapized, I, really value trying my best to have as much balance as I can. And this was just a glaring reminder of that during this experience as well. Because now that the challenge is over, I'm just so happy to get back into having my balanced schedule, because streaming every single day while working and editing and, doing my coloring content is a lot. And I ended up having to take a break from my podcast so I could feel like I could mentally focus on just streaming because it was just too much. So I ended up taking like a month off. Yeah. To do the challenge. So thank you to, all of my podcast listeners for sticking around for that. Cause I'm like, hey, something gotta take a break. Cause I gotta lock the freak in like I never locked in before. So I'm just, really proud that I stuck with it and actually did it. And I also want to talk about, taking it back to, again, the little details that make streaming fun. I didn't expect, like I said, how much fun it was to customize everything and just make your stream feel like it's your own little world. So again, most of my stream graphics came from Etsy and Canva. And I also would recommend, like, if you like being able to have stuff be as custom as possible. And I also like the idea of being able to change stuff up if I want to, like with even the same template. If you're going to find something like on Etsy for your stream, I would recommend having it to where you can see that it's customizable in Canva before you buy it. So then when you download the file, whether that be like a starting soon screen or something like that, like, is it editable is the right word, sorry, in Canva. And then you can customize it, to your heart's desire. Cause like my About Me panel, or not the About Me panel, I'm tripping. The starting soon screen, that originally was listed on Etsy as a YouTube intro, but I could change it in Canva and I decided to make it a starting soon screen. You know what I mean? So doing stuff like that, like, helps with Etsy. And I ended up finding out that you can make panels on Twitch. And so panels are, a nice way on the About Me tab on your channel for people to, like I said, get to know you. So I customized those, like I said, on Etsy and Canva. And the panels that I personally chose to make on my Twitch channel are an About Me panel, so people can get to know a little bit more about, my interests and my hobbies and stuff like that. I have a games panel so people can know what type of games I play, a schedule so they can know when and what day they can find me. And I also have a panel for my Epic Partner code. I mainly have this code so that way people can use it for Fortnite, since I love playing Fortnite. And you can go to the item shop and type in the supporter creator code. It's an option to support a creator. And then you can type in the code KMarie, KAEMARIE, shameless plug. And that way, any of the things that you buy in the item shop, they will go towards supporting my content. So I put that there on my panel so people can know, straight when looking at my profile, what my Epic Partner code is. I also have a panel called My Podcast where people can get to know a little bit more about my show and, know about the fact that I even host a podcast, because I feel like this is just a great way to, showcase the other stuff that I do outside of, streaming games, specifically on Twitch. And there's also like links so that way people can listen to my show on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. I also have a donate panel and it links to my Buy Me a Coffee account. I recommend, if you're going to accept donations, Buy Me a Coffee has been a good platform for me. I've been using it for a while. And people are able to, like I said, send you donations. They can leave you a little note. And it's just really easy to use. They have an app. So that's one of my recommendations. And I also have another panel for subscriber badges. I think it's really cute getting to know what people's subscriber badges look like. And I think it's a really good idea to put a panel on your Twitch page showing people what the badges look like, because, you want subscribers, right? Like, it's a way for people to be able to financially support your Twitch channel. So, underneath that panel, I just have a quick little note that lets people know that, subscribing is a great way to support my stream and show me that you're enjoying it. And I let people know that, you can sub for free with Amazon Prime, and I have a link for them to be able to do that. Or they can sub for $5.99 a month, and then there's a link for them to be able to do that there. And then I just include a little bit of information about, the benefits that come from subscribing. So not only do you get to have a cute little Miffy sub badge that you can wear next to your name in the chat, depending on what tier you are, you also get 1.2 times channel points, ad-free viewing, right? Because it's, monetized now, so there's going to be ads. And there's also an opportunity for them on my channel specifically to earn and use up to 14 extra sub-only emotes. So I just figure having that information like easily accessible for people to see, which is really, really cute. And yeah, and then I also set up alerts and bot messages and all that on my channel as well for Twitch. I tried a few different bots like Stream Elements and Streamlabs. Those are two different resources. And I really think that having these chat bots is just another, like I said, cute way for you to customize your channel and to be able to have messages in your chat that are automatically set to, trigger when a certain thing happens. Because, it's just another like visual thing that they can see on top of you like verbally thanking them for whatever's going on, But when it comes to Stream Elements, I like that one the most so far. Because, for example, like when I play Fortnite, I have a message that pops up in the chat from the bot that reminds people to use my supporter creator code in the item shop, And then, like for my alerts, for example, I also downloaded a bunch of like funny GIFs from a website called Giphy. That's another, tip. Utilize those free resources, sweetie. Giphy was a good website. And I feel like a lot of the GIFs are like The Office themed, because I feel like that just matches my humor. You guys know I love The Office. So like, for example, when somebody redeems the lurking channel point, then it automatically plays a GIF of, what's his name, Jim. He's like wearing a mustache. I forget what episode this is from. And then he's like leaning back in his car, in his seat in the car, like pushing his seat back. And I just felt like that gave like lurker energy. And like the one where you can redeem the points for show love to Kristen. There's a funny meme of Michael from The Office, like giving somebody a hug. So yeah, you can really personalize it to fit you. Next, I want to talk more about OBS, the streaming software. And I mentioned earlier, like they have scenes. I feel like I kind of want to talk about like why scenes matter. This was a really big thing that I learned during this journey. So I just didn't realize like how much work goes into them before I started all of this. So just in case you don't know, stream scenes are basically like different layouts or like setups that you can switch in between during your live stream, depending on what you're doing. So instead of like looking at the same thing the whole time, you can switch to a different screen for different moments in your stream. So like, for example, right now I have the starting soon scene to let everyone, know the stream is starting. I also have my Switch gameplay scene. This is where the viewers can see my Switch gameplay and then they can see me on the camera at the same time. We got the Sims 4 gameplay scene. That's the same thing, but it's Sims plus the camera. We got camera only scene, camera with YouTube scene. That's for when I'm, doing reaction streams. Sometimes I react to different videos that I had in my watch later playlist on YouTube. I have a be right back scene. Sometimes you got to take a break, sister. Try not to be gone for too long. You know what I mean? I'm usually going to be gone for like 30 seconds. I got to grab my lip chat, grab something to, more to drink, grab a snack. Anytime you need to step away, having a be right back scene to toggle to is good to have. And then I have a stream is over scene that lets everyone know that the stream is over. I always play that a little bit so that way I can just quickly be able to get off the stream and get ready to shut everything down. And it's also good to go to when you're about to raid out to someone else's stream. So honestly, now that I mentioned all of the different scenes that I have that I can like go to depending on what I'm doing, like I said, setting all of that up took way more time than I expected, but it makes the stream feel way more organized and intentional, I also want to talk about networking. This matters way more than people think. This is something that I learned when I first started, my podcasting journey as well. And I was like reminded again with starting streaming that it's just as important for any niche of content that you're, starting from the beginning in. And just even as you continue to grow, still keeping networking as a priority is important. And I think, you want to make sure that you're doing this not in a fake influencer way, but you really, I think, taking the time to actually connect with people, right, and talk to other streamers, it's important. Like you want to be able to make friends in this space because sometimes before you even build a community of just regular viewers, other fellow streamers are going to be the ones that are going to support you. Same thing with anything you're doing, podcasting, other fellow podcasters, whatever it is that you're doing, right? Like all of that can be applied if you have mutuals who are in the same space. You can lean on them for advice. You can lean on them for support, the whole nine. So, for example, there was another creator. Her name's Julia. Shout out to Julia. I'm everywhere. I'm so Julia. Like what? Her username is What's Julia Doing on Twitch. And she ended up messaging me on my gaming TikTok, actually. And when she messaged me, she basically was saying, hey, I just wanted to become mutuals. She liked my content. And she also loved the fact that I also play Mario Kart. She plays Mario Kart as well. So I'm like, okay, period. It's nice to have not only a, fellow streamer girly, right? A girl. Then on top of that, she's a streamer and we also stream some of the same games. Super fun. Okay. Which brings me to also mentioning that some people are going to be like, in the advice videos, they'll say, stick to one game. I don't think that's really advice that's going to apply to everybody. So take that with a grain of salt. Okay. The ADHD of it all, I couldn't take playing the same game every single day for my 30-day challenge, let alone if I started with just a schedule of going live a couple times a week. Like, that's so boring. I personally love being a variety streamer. Okay? I have too many interests and too many games for me to not want to spend time rotating through them all, But I definitely love my Mario Kart stream days. Love that down. So yeah, we connected through DM. She reached out. And then after that, naturally, I started watching her streams. Love watching her streams. Her streams are so fun. She's got a great community over there. And whenever she would notice I was there, she'd give me a shout out. And she'd be letting her, chat know, hey, chat, Kristen's trying to make affiliate. Go ahead and follow her. That helps me get a couple followers too. And I'm like, oh, when you make these mutuals, you don't want to do it out of automatically expecting that they're going to do anything for you. These are just things that you want to be a good person and just do it out of the kindness of your own heart. Genuinely support your mutuals, people. Like, it's important, right? Like, you want them to key just as much as vice versa. Like, you got to show up and show out for your people. So, love joining her streams whenever I'm able to. I appreciate her for shouting me out. She also ended up shouting me out in her Discord. That helped a lot. Her community showed up and, followed me, watched some of my streams. So, yeah, and I think that that's important because, of course, streaming can feel lonely at times. Of course, I wasn't completely alone because, like I said, my family was on most days too. But it's like outside of that, of course, anyone naturally would be like, hey, I also want, viewers outside of my family. I want to really build a community over here, you know? So yeah, and I feel like also, don't sleep on raids. In the beginning, I don't really feel like that's something you need to focus on too much because you don't really have that many viewers to be able to like raid anybody's stream as it is. But in case you don't know, raids are basically just a way for you to, let's say you're playing, something, and then you have like 5 viewers. Then when you get off, those 5 viewers will stay, and then you're able to just automatically send them over to somebody else's stream. So now that streamer has 5 more viewers watching their content. And it's just a way to be able to like get your mutuals or whoever you want to support more exposure from your, audience. So yeah, don't feel like it's a priority in the beginning, but I did it a few times. If I had like even 3, 4, 5 viewers, I would raid out. And I just feel like overall, it's just something to keep in mind when you're ready to do, because rating someone else could just genuinely like make their whole stream better, and just it builds community. Also, back to what I was saying about posting podcast clips. That has been really important for posting on TikTok, and I post clips on YouTube Shorts. And honestly, my clips are doing better on YouTube Shorts than I thought they would. I feel like that's one of the biggest things that can help a small streamer, because people are way more likely to find you through your short form content like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube than they are with finding you randomly on Twitch. Like, the algorithm on Twitch is not really your friend when it comes to discovery. Okay, it really seems like it's really just for the people who already know you, and then maybe accidentally stumble upon you from on there. But for real, really, the real people that are going to come to your channel are going to come from outside of Twitch with those clips, and multi-streaming. Which, by the way, I do use a stream. What is it called? It's like an OBS plugin, right? A plugin for the OBS, the streaming software. You could download by Atom Multi-Stream, and it allows you to stream on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch. You can connect whatever really on there, and it allows you to go live all at the same time. But I haven't had the best luck when it comes to streaming on TikTok though. I can only stream on YouTube and Twitch at the same time, because every time I try to download the vertical plugin to be able to stream on TikTok, and then I also download like the TikTok app, whatever, on your computer to stream, it always like overloads my stream. It gets laggy, and then it just like doesn't work. And I'm like, okay. I personally feel like being able to stream on TikTok plus Twitch and YouTube would help a lot with my discoverability, but I can't figure it out. I don't know if like my computer is just too old or what. I don't know why it never works. So if anybody has advice on that, that would be helpful. Maybe I need to be using a different plugin other than Atom. I don't know, but so far that's the one I have. So I'm just like, okay, F it. We just won't be streaming on TikTok. Like, I can't mentally, I can only handle so much with what I can handle. So Twitch and YouTube it is. Also, referring back to the chat bots that I was talking about earlier, I, for some reason, cannot figure out why Stream Elements, for example, is not consistent. Like, I will literally type in my commands for the chat bot, and then like also set my timers, so that way it automatically says, like I said, the message every 25 minutes or 30 minutes. And sometimes it'll like do it and the chat bot will work, and then sometimes it won't. And I'll be looking and I'm like, okay, I've been on stream longer than 30 minutes. Like, why hasn't the chat bot said anything? And I've tried like taking it off as a moderator, adding it back as a moderator, connecting my Twitch, disconnecting my Twitch account. Like, I've done so many different things, and then every time I turn it on, it's just like inconsistent. Sometimes it wants to do it in the chat, sometimes it doesn't want to talk in the chat. So that's why I went over to Streamlabs, even though I like Stream Elements more, because like I said, you could tailor it specifically to do the timer based on which game you're playing if you want. Like, it has more customization options. But I don't know, it's just, I had to choose Streamlabs because that has the better chance of like working than Stream Elements. And even then, Streamlabs doesn't always want to work. So if anybody has any advice for me on that front, let me know in the comments on YouTube or Spotify as well, please. But yeah, so overall, back to what I was saying, I think clipping your phone, funny moments is really something that matters a lot, more than people think, because you got to get that exposure outside of Twitch, outside of just the streams on YouTube. Post those YouTube shorts, sweetie. So let's talk about my current stats after 30 days. It's been about like a month and like a half. So after my first month of streaming, in total, I have 43 Twitch followers. I have 3 subscribers, and I've got 48 YouTube subscribers on my YouTube gaming channel. Also, on average, my stats on Twitch are around 3 average viewers per stream, around 6 max viewers, 3 unique viewers, and around 19 live views. That's the average. But a lot of times, of course, every day to day it fluctuates. Sometimes I get around 40 live views, 50, even down to 20, We're still in the beginning stages, of course, so it's just going to be all over the place right now. We're still growing, the streamer era, Cozy Corner Club. But overall, I'm proud of my stats that I've been able to accomplish in this last month and a half, because every creator starts from somewhere. I'm still figuring things out. I definitely don't have everything figured out yet. For example, like I've been going back and forth between, do I leave my stream VODs up on YouTube after I'm off stream? Or should I manually upload the VODs later to my channel? That's just for YouTube. For Twitch, they just stay up there for 7 days and then they're gone. But YouTube, it's forever. So if you don't know, a VOD is basically like a replay of your live stream after it ends. And I feel kind of mixed up about this, because if I leave my stream up right away on YouTube and I just leave it listed, and like you can view it under like the live tab on my channel, the views aren't always that great. But if I unlist the stream after I'm done, right? Like delete it from my channel once I'm done, and then I manually upload it to YouTube, I feel like it performs better, almost like a regular YouTube video would be. And I don't know why that is. Like, is it channel specific, or is that just how they all work? Like, I don't know. I'm still learning what works best for that. So, I'm also just still learning like how to balance streaming with work, podcasting, like I said, my coloring channel, and just life in general. But for now, I think I'm feeling a lot better about it, like I said, because my streaming day is just on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern. So you can guaranteed look forward to seeing me on that day. And then if you don't see me any other day, right? But guaranteed you can see me on Wednesdays. And then if I stream any other day or time, it's because I feel like it, And all of this that I've mentioned, in this video, it just all comes with, the process of just being a beginner. And I think that in general, you just really need to enjoy it. If you're currently streaming, or gonna stream, like genuinely, you need to enjoy this process, because if you're only doing it for the numbers, like a lot of people say it's true, you're gonna burn out fast. Like, you gotta do it for the love of the game, okay? It's gotta be for the love of the game. You gotta really love talking, love gaming, creating. I love building a community. I love a sense of community around my interests. That's just the type of person I am. When I like something, I want to key about it. So having those platforms really helps me feel that sense of community and connection. And that's just something my personality thrives off of, So if you're not feeling that way about your streams, then I don't know if it's going to be worth it for you, So overall, my final thoughts is that the first 30 days of streaming, it just reminded me that, once again, just like my podcast, you just got to start before you feel ready. Because are you really ever going to feel ready about anything in life? I know I don't. You know what I mean? Like, if you wait until everything is perfect, you're probably never going to get started. So even though, I'm still like a extremely small micro streamer, literally don't even have 50 like followers yet, I'm still having fun with it. And I'm appreciative for every single person who has followed and every single person that's taken the time to support my streams. And I feel the same way about my podcast, because like I said, thrive on community. I love the fact that there's other people out there that love the same things that I love and take the time out of their week to listen to me hear about it. And when you guys share with me your thoughts, it's everything, okay? So if you've been thinking about streaming or just starting content in general, I think this is your sign to try it. Everything is worth a try, okay? If you have an interest in it. I've met some really kind people, clearly. So like I said, shout out to Julia, everybody else in her community, Allie Puff. She's a real one, and I've built this little cozy community with the streaming and with the pod. And I pushed myself in ways that I feel like I didn't really expect. So, you just never really know where it can go when you take that risk. So, yeah. Overall, thank you guys for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, like I said at the beginning, please be sure to subscribe on the YouTube channel at A Little Bit A Lot Podcast. We need 90 more so we can hit that 1K. I've got a big celebration plan once I hit 1K, okay? I'm kidding. I lied. I don't have a celebration plan, but honestly, that reminds me I should probably start planning something. Let me know what we should do, guys. Do we do a stream? A 1K subscriber podcast stream on the podcast channel? Is that when I return to streaming on that channel? Let me know what y'all want to do, right? Should we turn up or not? Right? But we can only do that if you subscribe and if you share the show with a friend, right? Let them know, hey, there's this diva. She's trying to hit 1K. She talks about a lot of fun things. You should go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Let them know it's free, right? Subscribing on the YouTube channel is free. And let them know, it's a cool podcast that comes out every Friday. So you have something to look forward to. We have fun. Come on. Turn the post notifications on. Like I said, leave a comment down below. If you guys have any questions, Spotify, Apple, rate that 5 stars. Leave a review. And also, honorable mention, subscribe to the gaming YouTube channel, okay? At Gaming with Kristen Live, okay? And twitch.tv/Gaming with Kristen. Following on Twitch is completely free. And if you want to add a little, razzle dazzle, consider the subscription options over there, okay? But yeah, so everyone who takes the time to support my content, I thank you a million trillion times over. You guys just don't know, how much it fulfills me just knowing that there's just people who just listen, even if you don't engage, knowing that you guys are out there listening. Because there's so many people with podcasts who'll be like, I've been listening to your show for years and never commented, never engaged. You got those silent listeners. Yeah, you in the back. I thank you. Okay. I love all of y'all. Okay. We one big happy family over here. And that's because I know that I have the support of you guys and your faith in me. So join the Cozy Corner Club where I'm the president. And with that, I will see you guys next week. Bye.
Cause I make rich look richer. Save your breath, baby. I'm not going home with ya.